Today we are talking about the hidden secrets for closing deals. By the way, how has the training been for you? What is closing? When you say you have closed the deal, for us, closing does not end when the customer makes the transfer or pays for the property. Closing for us is the point where ownership of a property is transferred from the seller to the buyer according to the terms and conditions set in the purchase agreement. It is usually the final step of a real estate transaction. So in real estate, when you say you have closed the sale, technically what we mean is that you have been able to transfer ownership to your client, not just them paying for the property. A deal does not end with the client making payment for the property. When that happens, you just got started, right? You just got started. So what should you not do? Do not leave a client hanging after he has paid for a property. Some of us, from experience, some persons, immediately they see the alert that the client has paid for a property, bam, they stop picking their calls. For goodness sake, you are the realtor or you are the person that brought this client to buy this property. It is unfair that a client has made payment for a property, you refuse to pick the client's calls, you become suddenly unreachable. It is not good for business. Do not go into oblivion. Always be reachable. Try as much as possible to attend to your customer needs, because paying for the property does not mean that the transaction is finished. You still have a long way to go, so always be reachable. Do not delay in the documentation process. Do your part. When a client has paid for your property, it is up to you to ensure that they get all their due documents, right? It is very important that if a client needs to get her documents, begin to move for the document. Do not wait for them to call you. Do not wait for them to follow you up. No. Be the one to always be ahead of the game. Move ahead and go to the company. Do whatever you need to do to ensure that your client's documents come out on time. Do not try to cut corners. Always follow the standard procedure, right? Now we're going to talk about the subscription form. Now the subscription form is a form that is usually given to clients that tells clients about the property, details of the property. So the subscription form does a lot of work. It has lots of information that your client must read through. So it is wise that you ensure that your clients go through the subscription form. It tells us and gives us information about a property, especially if you're buying from a company or an estate. So you must ensure that your clients look at this form before they pay their money, because a lot of issues can come up if they do not look at this form, and certain details can be missed. So what are these details? We'll find out as we go through the training. Ensure your client reads and understands the subforms. So what are the details to look out for? Number 1, the type of plot. 2, the payment plan. 3, the size of the plot. 4, the number of plots he wants to buy. Then the client should properly fill the client's details. Example, the name, the age, the contact address. The next of kin details is super important. In case anything happens to this client, the property can be transferred to the next of kin. So when we talk about location and landmarks, what are we looking out for? Now it is important to look at the landmarks in the subscription form. Why? Because the landmark of a property tells us the value and desirability of that property. Notable landmarks around the property can lead to higher demand. So when you look at the landmarks in the property, you as a realtor, you can be able to guide your client as to look at this property and say, this one will give us a higher return on investment. This one will yield faster. This one will appreciate faster. The next thing is property values. Right? So when a property is in the right location, the value increases proportionally. Landmarks can create an emotional connection to clients, making them more likely to buy. Right? Properties near landmarks can also attract tourists and individuals, potentially helping them make money from additional means such as shortlets, hostels, and all. So when the property is in a place where the clients can diversify, they can build a shortlet apartment, can build a mall, can build something. So it is very important that you look at the landmarks in the subscription form before a client pays for the property. Landmarks can also attract local economy and inform your clients the kind of business to do in that area. It is self-explanatory and it is very simple. The landmarks of a property can tell how valuable this property will be on the long run and give a higher resale appeal. So the next thing you want to ensure your client looks at in the subscription form is the property title. You as a realtor, you must know a property title. In fact, the subscription form should be read by you first Before you sell any property, you must have an understanding, a proper understanding of the property, right? You should know the landmarks first of all. Then now we're talking about the title. You must know these features. So the subscription form is not just for your client. The subscription form is first for you, the realtor. You must understand every nitty-gritty about a property before you begin to market it to a client, right? So you have to go through the subscription form and read the following information, digest them. These are the things you use to market a property to your client, right? So what is a property title? A property title is a document that proves ownership of a property, such as a house or a land. It shows who has the right to possess, use, transfer, or sell the property. What is the importance of a property title? It helps you communicate properly to the client. It helps you in verifying the ownership of a property. It is not enough to sell a property. You must be sure that what you're selling is genuine and will not give you any issues on the long run. Your name is more important than money. So you have to keep your integrity. You have to protect your integrity. One of the ways to do that is by doing your proper search, ensuring that whatever you are selling is the real deal. The property title outlines the boundaries. This will help reduce conflict. It helps to reduce disputes. When you know the boundaries of a property, that will help you reduce disputes and land problems. The property title ensures that the property is compliant with relevant laws and regulations, and it is easy to verify. It is easier to verify a property when you have the property document and property title. Now, the property title also impacts on the market value, because there are different kinds of properties showing us different level of perfection of the titles, right? So some properties that have a deed, registered survey, those that have accession, those that have C of O, they are different. I will share light on different land titles in a module in this training, so just watch that. You will understand why we say the C of O are usually more expensive. So C of O lands are usually more expensive. I will explain that in one of the modules in this training, so you understand the various titles and how they can impact on the price of the estate. The next thing you want to look at for on the subscription form is the plot type, right? What is a plot? A plot refers to a parcel of land usually defined by specific boundaries, right? So plots can be varied based on certain factors such as zoning, size, and location. For zoning, a plot can be a residential plot, commercial plot, or an industrial plot. Now, but there we have different sizes. Some estates are divided into plots 464 square meters, which is the popular 50 by 100. So but there are other lands that might be divided into 232 square meters, 600 square meters, depending on what the company decides. Now, the location of an estate is very important. Is it an urban or rural? So plots can also vary based on the location of the land. Could it be an urban land or a rural land? So there are different kinds of plots, and they vary in size, shape, location, and purposes. Examples include residential plots, commercial plots, specialized plots, premium plots, and other kinds of plots. Let's look at residential plots. Residential plots is a parcel of land designated for building a home or residence, usually intended for single family or multi-family dwellings. There are different kinds of residential plots. We have the standard plots. These are the most common and usually measured between 300 to 1000 square meters. But for us, most times we measure in 464 square meters in most Nigerian estates, which is the popular 50 by 100. But you also need to look at the subscription form and know how that particular estate or land is demarcated. Right, the next kind of plot is the corner plots. The corner plots, also known as corner piece, these are plots located at the intersection of two roads or two or more streets. They are another form of residential plots, but they are usually more visible and hence attractive for businesses. Usually they may have multiple access points and are usually more expensive than the standard plot. So in the subscription form, you will ask, this estate, the corner piece plot, is it the same amount as the normal standard plots? You should know all these things, right? You can tell your client that we have different kinds of residential plots. We have the standard plot, we have the corner piece plot. Do you understand? Why should a client buy corner piece plots? Some corner piece plots have higher price tag for someone that wants his house to be at the beginning of his street, so he can have a mini mart there. So that is why the corner piece plot might be a bit more preferable for that kind of person. Next is that corner plots might expose to noise and traffic, especially in busy areas, and some clients might not want that, right? So it depends on customer preference. The corner plots might have multiple access points, which will give greater visibility and hence offer less privacy to the occupant. So it depends on what the client wants. If the client wants a place where you can get visibility, easy access, you might want to suggest a corner piece plot. But if you want to be alone and private, then just give them a normal standard plot. And these corner piece plots may also have stringent building regulations. So the next kind of plot is the end plots, right? What are end plots? End plots are another kind of residential plots, but these plots are located at the edge of a street or block, typically positioned at the end of a row or block. So that house at the end of a street is an end plot. That plot there is an end plot. So they may have more ventilation and natural light, may offer more privacy, and they may have more space and slightly larger land. Example, they can have a larger car parking space. But on the flip side, they may be vulnerable to break-ins because of where the land is located or where the property, the house will be located when they build it. It's close to the fence. So some people say that one man's food is another man's poison. So some people might want to say that at the end of a street or at the beginning, depending on what the clients want. So tell them, these are the kind of plots that we have in this estate. Which one would you want to stay? The next kinds of plots are the commercial plots. What are commercial plots? Commercial plots refers to land designated for business purposes, that is, they are for construction of buildings and infrastructure that will house businesses, retail stores, offices, hotels, restaurants, and other commercial activities. Commercial plots are usually located in places with expected high foot traffic, easy access, and near residential zones to attract customers. It might be a bit more expensive than residential plots, so this is what you will look at in the subscription form. Confirm the price and communicate appropriately to your client. The other kinds of plots, we talk about the specialized plots. These are specific plots with distinctive features, purposes, or uses compared to the regular plots. Always look out for subscription form for this kind of plots. So payment structure. It is very important that you understand the payment structure of every estate before you tell the client about it, right? Because they will ask you. Clients are going to ask you, okay, how can I pay for this line? Can I pay over 2 months? Can I pay over 3 months? Can I pay over 6 months? So you should be able to get that information from the subscription form, and that will help you communicate properly to your client. Your client must read the subscription form themselves to see these things, and if they have any clarifications, they would ask. So the payment structure might differ depending on the developers, and it's usually communicated beforehand. So look at the subscription forms and communicate with your client. Usually, in most estates, payments are done over 3 months, 6 months, 12 months plan, depending on what the company decides and depends on the features of the property. But always clarify when you have doubts. How to pay. We encourage realtors not to collect money directly to your account. So when a client says he wants to pay to your account, do not accept. Let them pay directly to the company, right? Please encourage clients to pay into company accounts, right? They are the ones doing business with the company, not you. They shouldn't pay the money to your account, except of course maybe you are related to the person or you are the one doing the transaction for the person. But please let them pay to company accounts. This will reduce temptation. You know that money carries spirits, so I beg, please let the client pay directly to the company account. The details are usually in the subscription forms. The company name, the bank, and all are in the subscription form. Do not add your own extra charge to the price of any property that has a fixed price, please, because you are not the only person selling that estate. Other people are selling that estate, so please don't add extra money. If a property is 5 million per plot, say it's 5 million per plot. Don't say it's 5.5 million. Please don't do that. After a client has paid, let him send you the proof of payment and receipt of the transaction, right? Then you can now follow up with the company. Something you must understand is that aside paying for the land, there are other fees that most people will still pay, and they have to be communicated. Not in all companies, but in some companies you will need to pay some other fees, such as the documentation fees. An example of documentation fees include the survey fee, the deed of assignment fee, legal fees, agency fees, and sometimes consent fees. Now, but not all estates or not all companies have these extra charges. Some companies have compressed these charges and put them in the price of the estate, right? So when you look at the subscription form, you will have an idea whether the client is going to pay anything extra for documentation or not. So if you look at the subscription form, if they tell you that the estate is 5 million and documentation inclusive, it means that the client is not going to pay any other thing. But when they tell you that the estate is 5 million but there is still documentation fee to be paid, then you want to find out how much is this documentation fee and communicate appropriately to your client. Tell the client the land is 5 million, but you'll be needed to pay documentation fee of 250,000, right? So everything 5.250 million. But like I said, these information are on the subscription forms. If there is a documentation fee, you will see it in the sub form. But if there is none, that means you won't talk to your client about it. what are the significance of these fees? Now, a lot of clients might want to ask you, so why am I paying for documentation? Why am I paying for my deed? Why am I paying for this? So what is survey? A survey fee is a payment made to a licensed surveyor to conduct a survey on a property or a land. The purpose of the survey is to identify the exact boundaries of the property, physically mark all the corners of the property with survey stakes or monuments. Now, when a client buys a piece of an estate, he is not buying a full estate, he's buying a part of the estate. His own plot needs to be surveyed. Do you understand? His own plot needs to be demarcated. So the survey fee is what they pay so that he will have his own customized document. I don't know if you understand. So that is why these fees are very important. And another thing is that it ensures that the property is compliant with local zoning ordinances and regulations. What is a deed of assignment? A deed of assignment is a legal document that shows transfer of ownership of a property from one party to another. When a client has bought an estate or a piece of land from you, the deed of assignment is what shows the transfer of documents from the company to the client. That particular place he bought, it is the deed of assignment that will show him that this land now belongs to him or her. So deed of assignment fee is a payment made to a lawyer or attorney for preparing or drafting a deed of assignment. A client cannot buy land and say does not want to pay for deed of assignment or does not want a deed. That means that land might be in danger. So you encourage them, if they need to pay for this, let them pay. Now the other fees that are interesting that you must know. One of them is the developmental fee. The developmental fee is what estates use to develop their lands. A developmental fee in an estate refers to a payment made by the property buyer, that's your client, or landowners to the estate developer or management of the company for the development and maintenance of infrastructure and amenities within the estate. Now, if a client is buying just bare land, not an estate land, he doesn't need to pay developmental fee to anybody. But if the client is buying an estate, is buying a part of an estate, estates, what makes estates are those extra features, those amenities, that's planning, right? So developmental fees are what clients are needed to pay to ensure that the company designs and gives them what they want. Now, most times it is best to communicate to your clients before they make payment for the land, because they might come back and say you didn't tell them or you hid the charge from them. Tell them and let them know. It is usually stated in the subscription forms, but if in doubt, contact the real estate company and confirm. So these are some of the things you must look out for when you are thinking of showing a client a property. You must know the price of the property, you must know are there documentation fees, then you must know is there going to be a developmental fee and how much is it and what is the payment plan for the developmental fee. So the developmental fees cover infrastructural development such as roads, drainage systems and utilities like electricity, water and sewage, amenities such as parks, playgrounds, swimming pools. It is with this developmental fee that companies will develop these things. Security services such as fencing, gates, CCTV cameras, those are the things that the company uses to develop the estate. So it is important that you know that this price is different for different estates, and most times they are in the subscription forms. So please ensure you check the developmental fee and inform your client, then also confirm the payment structure for the developmental fees. Allocation. Now, a land allocation. What is land allocation? From experience, when we talk about land allocation, this is a very sensitive topic in the real estate journey, so we're going to approach it tactically. Now, land allocation refers to the process of assigning or distributing parcels of land to individuals, organizations or businesses by a real estate company, government agency or other land holding entity. Now, when a client has paid for a land and he has gotten receipts, the company has approved or gotten the receipts, after some time the company will plan for allocation, physical allocation. That is, the client is now taken to possess his own part of the estate. Now, the timeline differs for different estates and different things can impact on this, so you have to work with the company on how to tell or counsel your clients on this allocation guideline. Every company has their modus operandi on land allocation, so try and understand it before you explain to your client what is the importance of land allocation. One of the things that is so important in the real estate business when a client buys a land is land allocation. Land allocation enables clients to assess their land for various purposes. For those that want to build, for those that want to do land banking, land trading or land flipping, when they possess the land, it marks a significant part of the journey, right? It also helps to development of infrastructure on the land. Now, land allocation promotes customer satisfaction. This is one thing that you must take serious. Customer satisfaction. Your customer must be satisfied with your service. and build trust, and then will lead to more referrals, right? One of the ways to increase your net income is to do a great job when it comes to customer service. When your client is allocated on time, he will come back for more. Now, it supports housing and urban development, as individuals can now own their own homes and have improved living conditions. Rent is on the rise in some parts of the world. So when you help a client and the client gets her allocation, that is a good step in the good direction. So as a realtor, what are you expected to do? Verify the documents of the land if possible. Ensure your client is buying from a reputable company with capacity. I'll talk about this much later in the training. The companies that we're going to recommend some companies for you that you're going to work with, and we're going to show you how to work with them and how to achieve the best result, right? Next thing is guide your clients throughout the payment process, especially instrumental payments. Constantly remind them, even when the client is paying, ensure that they have the proper account number and they are doing the right thing. Always follow up your client's documents, collect them on time, get your client to sign, and return to the company as soon as possible. If there are delays, reassure your client. Always communicate with your client. One mistake a lot of creators make is that when there is a delay or when there's something going on, document is not coming or something is not coming, you just now switch off. No, that is the best time to communicate to the client. Communicate and communicate to the client such that the client begins to trust you, and that will allay her fears. Work closely with your company and ensure your clients are satisfied. Remember, closing a real estate transaction is not just when the person pays money for the land, but it's at the point where ownership of a property is transferred from the estate or the seller to the buyer, that's your client, according to the terms and conditions set in the purchase agreement. Then the next thing is final document collection. The document collection we are talking about here is if the property has a deed and registered survey. When you sell a part of an estate, the company will now serve the responsibility of going and obtaining and preparing some documents for the client. If it's a deed, if it's a C of O, they go ahead to prepare it. Now, what is the importance of final document collection? It provides peace of mind for buyers and sellers. You should note that document collection takes a while. Yes, it might take a while. So it's not like as though when a client is just buying the land now, the next 3 days is getting his final documents. No, because some of these things have to pass through some government, pass through some offices and government and all. You will tell your client that when it's available, you're going to communicate with them. Do not give a timeline because we cannot say for sure when these final documents are going to be available. Do you understand? So why is it important? It is important because it helps provide peace of mind. It helps build trust as a realtor and helps you get referrals. Thank you so much for this. We will see you in the next training.
This sound is going around the world. Angels of favor are going to be released as these sounds are listened to all around the globe. Favor, 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 favor like a shield.